Do you know the story of the prodigal son? What do you think it means? Today, we will explore this timeless parable, a striking narrative that has weathered the ages, resonating with generation after generation. A story of a father and his two sons. The parable of the prodigal son is one of the most well-known stories in the Bible, filled with profound lessons about love, forgiveness, and redemption. But is that all there is to it? Is there a deeper meaning hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered? As we embark on this journey of exploration, we invite you to suspend any preconceptions you might hold. Open your mind, stir your curiosity, and prepare yourself to delve into the heart of this story, to uncover the profound wisdom it holds. Let's dive into the heart of this story and uncover the profound wisdom it holds. In the parable of the prodigal son, there lived a father with his two sons. The younger of the two, filled with the spirit of youth and a longing for adventure, decided that he'd had enough of home. He yearned to explore the world, to taste the fruits of freedom and independence. So he approached his father with a request, a share of his inheritance, right there and then. Now, this was no ordinary request. In those times, it was unheard of for a son to ask for his inheritance while his father still lived. Yet, the father, in his boundless love, agreed. He divided his property between the two sons, giving the younger son his share. With a heart full of dreams and pockets full of money, the young man set off to a distant country. There, he squandered his wealth in wild living. He lived the high life, indulging in every pleasure money could buy. But as we all know, money is a fickle friend. Just like everything in life, all good things come to an end. His wealth ran dry, and to add to his misfortune, a severe famine struck the land. The son, who once lived like a prince, found himself destitute. He had no choice but to take up a job feeding pigs. Here was a young man who had lived in luxury, now longing to fill his stomach with the pods the pigs were eating. But no one gave him anything. In the midst of his misery, a realization dawned upon him. He remembered his father's house, where even the hired servants had food to spare. He thought about his foolishness, his arrogance, and his ungratefulness. His heart ached with regret and guilt. He had sinned against heaven and his father. And so, he made a decision. He would go back to his father, admit his mistakes, and beg for forgiveness. He was ready to become a servant in his father's house, for he believed he was no longer worthy to be called his son. Yet, the journey back was not easy. Every step he took was a painful reminder of his past mistakes. His heart probably pounded with fear and anxiety, but becoming a servant in his father's house was better than considering eating what the pigs ate. And so, filled with shame and regret, the son decided to return to his father's house. But little did he know, his journey of redemption had just begun. What awaited him was a lesson of love and forgiveness that would forever change his life. As the son approached the house, his father saw him from a distance. The father, recognizing his son's silhouette against the backdrop of the setting sun, felt a surge of emotions. His heart pounded in his chest, and he could hardly believe his eyes. It was his son, his prodigal son, returning home after so long. He didn't hesitate for a moment. With a speed that belied his age, he ran toward his son. His mind was a whirlwind of thoughts, but one emotion shone brighter than the rest, overwhelming joy. His son, who he thought he had lost forever, was alive and had returned to him. The joy of the unexpected reunion overpowered any resentment or bitterness. After all, his son was lost and now was found. He embraced his son tightly, tears of joy streaming down his weathered face. The son, with a voice choked with emotion, began to apologize, to ask for forgiveness. But the father, his heart full of love, cut him off. There was no need for apologies or explanations. The past was the past, and the present was a time for rejoicing. The father called his servants, commanding them to bring the best robe, a ring, and sandals for his son. He wanted his son to be clothed in the best, a symbol of his restored status. The father's forgiveness was complete and unconditional, mirroring the infinite mercy that is often associated with divine love. But the father's joy could not be contained in mere clothing and accessories. He called for a feast, a celebration like no other. A fattened calf was slaughtered, music and dancing filled the air. The entire household was immersed in joy and celebration. The lost son had returned, and it was a time for rejoicing. Despite the son's past mistakes, his squandering of wealth, his departure from the family, the father's love remained unwavering. He welcomed his son back with open arms, joyous that his lost son was found. The father's reaction is a profound demonstration of unconditional love, forgiveness, and the power of second chances. It illustrates that no mistake is too great to prevent a joyful return to the fold. Despite his son's mistakes, the father welcomed him back with open arms, joyous that his lost son was found. Meanwhile, the elder brother, who had been working in the fields, returned home. He was taken aback by the sounds of celebration, the music, and the dancing. He asked a servant what was going on, and the servant told him that his younger brother had returned, and his father had killed the fattened calf to celebrate because he had him back safe and sound. Bitterness set in. The elder brother became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and pleaded with him, but he responded with resentment. He said, "Look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours who has squandered your property with prostitutes comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him." The elder brother's reaction is a stark contrast to the father's joyous welcome. He is angry, resentful, and feels overlooked. He believes he's been dutiful, obedient, and hardworking, yet he feels he hasn't been rewarded. The father, however, responds with love and understanding. He tells the elder son, "My son, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad, for this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." This response is profound. The father assures the elder son that all he has belongs to him. He also explains that the celebration is not to favor the younger son, but to rejoice that he was lost and is now found. It's a celebration of grace, forgiveness, and love. The elder brother's resentment and the father's response give us a deep insight into the dynamics of grace and legalism, of love and resentment, of celebration and bitterness, of acceptance and rejection. The parable ends here, leaving us with a lot to ponder about. Now that we've heard the story, let's reflect on its meanings. This parable, like a multifaceted gem, presents a variety of interpretations, each revealing a different aspect of its brilliance. At the heart of it all is the theme of forgiveness. The father in the story represents a divine grace that is always ready to forgive, no matter the magnitude of our transgressions. It's a beautiful illustration of how unconditional love operates, even when faced with what might seem like unforgivable acts. Yet, forgiveness is not the only message here. The story also underlines the importance of repentance. The prodigal son, in his deepest despair, recognizes his wrongdoings and decides to return home, not expecting anything but hoping for mercy. This moment of self-realization and the subsequent decision to change one's course is a powerful testament to the transformative power of repentance. In addition, the story doesn't shy away from showing us the consequences of our actions. The prodigal son, despite being welcomed back, has lost his inheritance. This is a stark reminder that while forgiveness is always available, our decisions can have lasting impacts. Now, let's talk about the elder brother's perspective. His reaction might seem harsh, but it uncovers another layer of understanding. The elder brother, faithful and dutiful, feels overlooked and undervalued. His feelings of resentment and jealousy throw light on the human tendency to compare and measure love. But the father's response to him, that everything he has is his, teaches us that divine love is not a limited resource to be divided, but an infinite source that encompasses everyone. So we see that this parable is not just about a wayward son and a forgiving father. It's about us, about our innate desire for love, our struggle with sin, our journey towards repentance, our longing for forgiveness, and our struggle with jealousy and comparison. The parable of the prodigal son, thus, offers us profound insights about life, love, and forgiveness.